Well, as it should be well known, gun-loving Texas is possibly the worst place to be as a criminal, because your chances of being met with some sort of defense is pretty high, compared to the rest of the country anyways. Don't mess with Texas, as the saying goes. Eric Eugene Washington unfortunately found that out the hard way. On January 5th, Washington decided to go to a taco restaurant in Houston, waving around what is now reported to be a fake gun. He was walking table to table, waving it and demanding money from customers. But what Washington wasn't planning for was a customer who brought a real gun to the gunfight. Midway through Washington's attempted burglary, robbery, he was shot and killed. We have the footage, watch. The man in this story has asked for his identity to be kept from the public, but his picture is everywhere. Now, here's where things start to change. Shortly after the incident, the Houston police posted this, trying to get the man in for questioning, which is not out of the ordinary. Their efforts were successful, and the man was questioned on Monday, and now the shooting will be referred to a grand jury. But what's interesting is that this man might be facing criminal charges himself. Why? Here to help me answer that is criminal defense attorney Bob Bianchi. He joins me with a legal perspective on all of this. Bob, most people see this footage and, it's obviously very sad. You don't like to see anyone lose their life. But nonetheless, someone walks into a store, a restaurant waving a gun, what looks to be a gun, and shouldn't be surprised when you're met with deadly force. What's the case for this man, this citizen who killed him? Is there a case that he could be on trial for murder?
Yeah, this is Texas has some of the most liberal, if you will, or loose, for lack of a better word, gun laws, which gives the people that are actually firing in these circumstances much more protection from criminal prosecution. Nevertheless, Texas still requires that the use of deadly force be reasonable. Texas also has a provision, I want to check into it a little bit more, that also talks about shooting a fleeing individual who committed a robbery and a number of other offenses. But we're always, Addison, going to come down to that reasonableness quotient. What the prosecutor could very well argue here is that this individual was exiting the location. There was not imminent fear of death or serious bodily injury at that point in time. He was shot in the back 8 times, but what's really difficult for the defendant here is, as you can see, he removes the weapon from the individual and then puts another round in the back of his head. So it's one thing to incapacitate a person that you believe may pose a risk of imminent death or serious bodily injury. It may be another thing if the law allows you to shoot a fleeing felon. But once that individual is incapacitated on the ground and no longer poses a threat because you have their weapon in your hand, that last round, that 9th round, is a problem.
Now, what do you think? Do you think that is going to be the biggest problem in this case for him, or do you think it will be the fact that he was shooting the man as he was fleeing?
Yeah, so we get into what this reasonableness means. That's a great question, right? So a jury is going to have to evaluate. Like, in my mind, when he's waving the gun around and he's taking the money, somebody clearly could say it's reasonable that you felt that your life or the life of others was at risk of serious bodily injury or death. But as the conduct abates, as he's walking away and his back is turned, as he's shot and he goes down, the analysis starts to change. The analysis, again, would change even further if you've unarmed him. He's not moving, no longer poses a threat. Whether a jury would sit there and say under those circumstances, at a certain point in time, what was reasonable becomes unreasonable.
Now, it's like I said, a tragic situation all around. It does appear, watching the footage, and of course we blurred it, we don't want to show that to our audience, it's very graphic. He did seem to get a little carried away, especially, I noticed when he took the gun out of his hand too and shot again. Obviously a little excessive there. We'll have to see how this plays out. I have a feeling it's going to be heavy in the news cycle for quite a while. Bob, one more thing I want to get your thoughts on. This is from Law and Crime Network as well. Romanian court reportedly upholds detention of self-proclaimed misogynist influencer Andrew Tate in human trafficking probes. So they are detaining him. He's tried to get out of that, and they have denied his appeal. What do we know so far? Why are they still holding him? What are the details surrounding that?
This is a difficult case because we're dealing with another country and their laws with respect to pretrial detention, and some of these laws can seem really odd to us in terms of what the American jurisprudence system is all about. Nevertheless, what they are alleging here is that sounds very R. Kelly-ish, right, Addison? That this was a cabal of people that he is exercising undue influence over, branding them literally with tattoos and other things, and that these people were essentially being put into this human trafficking situation, which, if true, obviously carries substantial and significant penalties. The defense in this case is pretty much that I'm being preyed upon because I'm a very popular person. I've said some very controversial things about the relationships between men and women. So we really have to wait to see how these facts develop, because we don't have a whole lot of information right now as to how this is going to actually progress in terms of the investigation and or charging here. But obviously the authorities feel they have enough in order to charge him with these extremely significant crimes, which could carry pretty much a better part of a person's life in prison if convicted.
Yeah, absolutely. Another story that the world is going to be looking at very heavily in the coming weeks. Bob Bianchi from Law and Crime Network. Always great to have you on, bringing the legal analysis. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Addison.
Meanwhile, another word is being barred from polite society. You're not allowed to say this word. I hope you're keeping up with the liturgical calendar here. Writing this one down, everyone get out of your pen and paper. The word is field. Field. F-I-E-L-D. It is being banned from the University of California's School of Social Work because, according to them, the word is racist. USC Social Work sent this statement out on Monday saying this: "We have decided to remove the term field from our curriculum and practice and replace it with practicum. This change supports anti-racist social work practice by replacing language that could be considered anti-black or anti-immigrant in favor of inclusive language. Language can be powerful, and phrases such as going into the field or field work may have connotations for descendants of slavery and immigrant workers that are not benign." So don't say field, everyone, or else you're a racist slave owner. That's the lesson here. Unreal.